Welcome back. This is City, living in a city, a Canadian CPA. I am still deciding if I should switch to an EV for that $5,000 federal rebate to save myself from the crude oil hype caused by the US-Iran war.
And this is ICE. I do vaccinations, not deportations. A Canadian registered nurse just bought a used EV and loves watching this guy driving a 5.0-liter burning cash with these gas prices. What are we going to talk about today?
We'll break down the new Ontario budget proposed by the government that poured Jack Daniel on the ground and served an anti-tariff ad in the World Series.
So this is going to be a debrief for the 254-page plan to protect Ontario?
That is the plan. Tax cuts, housing help, investment into healthcare and education. And as an honorable mention, we are also going to talk about the new plan to fight the ticket scalpers.
That sounds good, and hope they also try to fight the Pokemon card scalpers that are storming Costco. Let me hear what's available under the new budget.
Sure, let's roam. Let's start with housing. Have you seen prices lately? Seems like government measures are working. Prices have started to come down this year. So the biggest thing in the budget for us is HST relief on new homes. Ontario is giving the full 13% HST rebate for eligible buyers of new homes up to $1 million. This means the maximum rebate of $130,000.
That sounds too good to be true. The rebate goes from $24,000 to $130,000. What is the catch?
First of all, that rebate is only available when the federal said so, since partial of the HST belongs to federal. Second, if the home price is more than $1.5 million, then the rebate falls back down to $24,000 again.
These don't sound too difficult, especially when the rebate of buying a home changed from half of a Prius to a new Porsche. Gotta make sure we can get the rebate.
But you also need to remember it only applies to your primary residence or the residence for rent. Otherwise, you are too rich to get the Porsche if you can just leave a home unoccupied.
Any other catches?
Another thing to watch out for is the time limit for the rebate.
If I'm going to buy a newly built house, what would be the time frame to get me the maximum rebate? What if my parents just want to do a major renovation?
Under the old rebate, if and only if you substantially renovate your home, you can claim the same HST rebate as a newly built home. However, in the budget book, it does not mention that at all. Although it usually follows the same guidelines, we would need to wait for the new form coming out from CRA. Talking about the time frame, the new rebate is available for the purchase agreement signed between April 1st, 2026 and March 31st, 2027. Construction must start by December 31st, 2028 and be completed by December 31st, 2031.
Sounds like a tight deadline. Good thing these construction companies are private companies. We don't need to wait for more than 10 years to have the construction completed like TTC Line 5 or Mississauga LRT line. If they are doing this or screwed like the Yonge and Bloor building, then none of us is getting the rebate.
Let's talk about small businesses.
Just business, nothing personal?
No rate cut like federal personal tax in this Ontario budget. But to keep our favorite bubble tea shop here, the small business corporate tax rate is being reduced from 3.2% to 2.2% starting July 1st, 2026. This is very close to the 2% in Alberta and British Columbia. However, to make sure there are no additional incentives for the business owner to pay out dividend more than they are right now, the dividend tax credit rate has also been reduced.
In plain English, this 1% tax deduction will let you pay less to CRA, but buy more equipment and invest back in Ontario.
That is right. When it works with the new federal budget mentioned in the previous episode, the immediate expense for the manufacturing equipment, it screams, let the manufacturing and technology companies stay in Ontario.
But it would only work if the manufacturing company invests in equipment and also gives more to the employees. Companies can only stay when there are still employees working for them.
I hope Stellantis regrets they leaving Brampton after this budget. And just curious if my Indian brothers stop buying Challengers and Chargers after Stellantis not going to hire their cousins in Brampton. Back to individuals and also your daily life. The Ontario One Fare program has been extended for 2 more years. If you're taking transit across different GTA transit systems as your daily commute, you will continue to pay only the fare of the first section.
Now it becomes the debate on whether you are trying to get on the cheap and might delay public transit or the expensive drive after the oil surge because of the US-Iran war.
That price surge makes the government tax cut of 5.7 cents per liter looks indifferent. Not sure if Uncle Ben got Uncle Don's nude and told him, with great power comes great responsibility. So the self-claimed peace-loving US going into another war that is related to oil.
One of the nice policies I saw in the budget is about making it illegal to resell concert or sports tickets above face value. Finally, we don't need to compete with bots to get tickets that we want. Scalpers' side hustle is officially over.
But unfortunately, they cannot do anything to the brownie scalpers who crowded Costco and fight over Pokemon trading cards. But hopefully, we can see a lower resale value coming from the upcoming FIFA.
But potentially, they can work like the weed dealer before it got legalized and worked under the shadow, and also coming up with scam teams, since you're probably not getting upsold on Ticketmaster anymore.
As long as you redeem your gift card before giving them the code, you're fine.
Why did you redeem it? Why did you redeem it? Why did you do it?
On the other hand, Doug finally had enough from the teachers that don't support him. He decided to slap them with the $66 million classroom supplies fund that gives every elementary homeroom teacher a $750 classroom supplies card annually. Teachers can use the card to buy the stationery they're going to use in the classroom instead of paying out of pocket and never getting reimbursed.
How about post-secondary?
There is bad news for students and good news for the post-secondary institutions. The bad news is the ratio change between grants and loans of the Student Assistance Program. The grant is going to decrease significantly from up to 85% to up to 25%.
Does that mean students will need to pay back more loans after they graduated?
That is right. Since these grants provided to students are a financial burden, this change moves the ratio closer to the national norm. If you are still looking for the grant that does not need to be paid back, Newfoundland will be a good choice.
I thought they removed the high grant because there are TikTok videos showing students buying all sorts of random things with the grant. Since they do not need the grant that much, the government just removed it to save taxpayers' money.
That could be the last straw. On the other hand, the other news is the government decided to pull $6.4 billion to support post-secondary schools. These universities and colleges seem to have quite some deficits after the tuition froze and the restriction on the international students.
As long as these fundings do not go to fraudsters or fake scamming colleges, the money spent should improve the quality of the schools. The government also has some good things over the always crowded healthcare. Over the next 10 years, $64 billion is going to be invested in healthcare infrastructure. Out of the $64 billion, $50 billion will go to hospitals' capital grants. It's expected to fund the construction of 50 hospitals and roughly 3,000 new hospital beds.
Just to make it simple, capital grant can only be spent on capital assets. Hopefully, there will be fewer patients parked in hallways waiting for the doctors to come by. Other than more job opportunities for you, is there any good news on your pay?
I don't see anything in the budget about increased pay or reduced workload. The only thing I saw in the budget is about increasing the per patient per day care time to 4 hours for the long-term care. However, if long-term care are still profit-oriented, they will probably take the money and have the same number of employees working extra hours without pay. If that happened, don't blame the nurses or PSWs for the rushed care. Check how much the long-term care operators are earning.
Maybe check the financial statements for CSH.UN and SIA. These could be something. On the security side, it is delightful to see someone fight back to the theft in Vaughan and not facing any charges. So what is our Conservative Premier bringing us in terms of the security?
The province is going to start the Phase 2, Operation Deterrence 2.0, and will invest $32.5 million in 2026 to 2027. Think about it. In the first phase of Operation Deterrence, it seized 4,152 kilograms of cocaine and 192 kilograms of fentanyl. It also traced 550 illegal firearms, where 440 of them can be traced back to the US.
These are only the numbers for Ontario. With Canada's border connecting to the US for over 6,000 kilometers, not including Alaska, the case would probably be even worse. The Canadian Border Services Agency might need to search cars like the US does to stop the US guns from flowing into Canada.
The investment is going to expand jails, recruit and train police officers, buy drones, boats, and surveillance tech to tackle cross-border and organized crime.
With the proposed change to the bail system, we probably need more jail space to keep those repeat offenders in there.
So overall, this budget kind of activates protect mode. Protect jobs, hospitals, schools, and commute.
And even your FIFA tickets. But in exchange, we live with bigger deficits now and hope the investments pay off later.
That sounds similar to what you have with the federal budget. Spend now to invest in the future.
From the accountant side, I am watching whether housing and small business tax changes provide the help needed, and whether the province can move back to a balanced budget by 2028 and 2029. But also, they need to deliver everything on time, unlike all those Metrolinx projects.
And from the nurse side, we will be checking if we see more beds, more family doctors, more staff, more hospitals, and even more job opportunities. But just like you said, we just don't want more delays.
Either way, you just got a small slice of the 2026 Ontario budget. If you liked this breakdown, don't treat a budget as just a simple Excel file in the future. It probably also shows how you can make money from the government.
Thanks for listening. Stay healthy, stay curious, and stay to help protect Ontario.